Hey guys, welcome to Denny's. Today we're going to go over the quickest and easiest way to farm the quality certified ETA vouchers from the Defiler. More specifically, we're going to go into an Inez build, a couple actually, and we will basically be discussing the fastest ways as well as the safest ways and fastest ways to kill the boss, farm the vouchers. Don't forget to like the video if it helped you out. Comment any feedback you got from me. Subscribe if you feel that I have earned it. You want to see more TFD content. Also, follow me over on Twitch. We are live 5 days a week. I am going on vacation right now for the next 2 weeks or so. However, I will be back on February 1st, and I hope to see you guys over there. Let's jump into the video. All right, so let's jump into the mods first. So it's going to be very similar to the Inez build that I had recently for mobbing. However, this one's going to be going into a safe. We're going to do the safe build first as far as killing Defiler with Inez. So it's going to be the time of the hunting hounds. The reason we use that Transcendent mod is to make all of our abilities tech. Our first and third ability will now be tech, as well as our second and fourth. However, we're not really using much abilities other than our first ability to kill a Defiler. If you watched me on stream, you saw that you basically just spam the first ability and kind of just, that's the way to get it the fastest. Now, we are using increased HP, perfect anti-venom. Those are our two mods that are going to make this as easy as possible. No, we will not do a whole ton of damage and kill it very fast. However, this is the safest way to do it. I will give tips and tricks at the end of the video on how to do Defiler quicker. There are ways to actually kill him quicker. There is a method to the madness, I guess, if you will. It's not just going to be as simple as walking and kind of just staring at him and pressing the first ability. There's a few things you can do, but we're going to do all 4 crit mods here. Focus on electric, focus on tech. We want to make sure to get that cooldown on our first ability as low as it can possibly be. So MP conversion and nimble fingers on top of the 2 focus on mods. And then mid-air maneuvering is quite important. I usually don't remember I don't usually suggest the grappling, but mid-air maneuvering is actually quite important in my opinion. This is going to make it so that we actually are able to dodge a lot of the Defiler's abilities, and you'll kind of see what I mean when I get into the section about going over it. But that's going to be the build. Let's jump into the Reactor really quickly. So the Reactor that we are going to be using is going to be a critical hit damage and Colossus damage tingling mechanics, so electric tech reactor. This is going to have a tactical rifle weapon group mounted, so that just means that you can mount the secret garden. Very important there. And then we will go into why we're using these rolls. Basically, critical hit damage, Inez plays off of crit damage extremely well, and then obviously we're going against a Colossus, so it is only right that we use additional skill ATK when attacking Colossus. It's kind of a no-brainer. Let's jump into the components. So as far as the components are going to be basic Slayer. I will say this should be okay as long as you're running the HP and the anti-venom setup. However, if you don't want to use Slayer, I get it. Some people think you're a bit too squishy. However, this really does buff your damage and you end up doing a ton more damage. So I highly recommend Slayer. If you want to know about the Slayer rolls, basically every single one that can get MP recovery, so the Aux Power, Sensor, and Memory need MP recovery, out of combat for the Aux Power, in combat for the Sensor, and Memory gives you the recovery modifier. And then max MP on the Sensor, max HP on the Aux Power, and the Memory. Of course, defense if you want to. You don't need defense though that much. And then obviously shield and equipment drop rate if you really want it on the processor are the roles to go for as far as the components. But the only reason we're really using the Slayer is for the 26% skill power. So we'll jump over to the weapon and explain that. So the weapon we'll be using is the Secret Garden. The Secret Garden plays with tech abilities. Obviously, every single ability is turned into tech with this build with Inez. We are using Time of the Hunting Hounds, so we are spamming our first ability and therefore able to keep up our huge skill power buff that we get from Secret Garden, giving us more and more damage and pretty much 100% uptime while doing this fight. And that is pretty much as simple as it gets. I will show the Secret Garden build. However, keep in mind, it's not something you're really going to be using all but to just debuff the boss with the Inversion Reinforcement debuff, the resistance debuff. So yeah, keep that in mind. And now, importantly enough, let's jump into the Inversion Reinforcement. You want to make sure that you are using electric focus rounds, because what this is going to do is, if you didn't know, right to the right there of electric focus rounds, the enhanced focus rounds, it's going to basically make it so that the boss has a minus 20% attribute resistance for 30 seconds whenever you do 2 bursts into the boss. So not only is it going to do a little bit of extra damage with the electric rounds that you shoot at the very start, but for 30 seconds, the boss is going to have a minus 20% attribute resistance shred, basically, and that's going to be huge for your electric damage. You're you're just going to keep spamming it, spamming it, spamming it. And then the only other one we're using is Abyss Enhancement for whenever the mob spawn, you can get that grapple cooldown down to 30%, be able to spam that, and the closer you are to the boss, the more damage you're going to be able to do. And if you jump in the air while he breathes his fire on the ground, you can usually stay in the air long enough, as long as you do it right as he starts the animation, to avoid that air being breathed on you, and you can just keep spamming your first ability while you're doing that. So Abyss Enhancement, kind of a no-brainer. And then I do switch it up. Sometimes I use Heightened Sensory Cells because I notice myself getting kind of low on MP quickly. Other times I will use RK Boost because RK Boost gives us the extra 15% skill cooldown. Now keep in mind, we only need like 10%, 12% skill cooldown to be capped with this build, but you'd be surprised how much that actually helps. The RK Boost, if you're ever running out of charges, it can help you quite a bit with the bolt firing back to you. And I don't know if the speed is actually going to help us at all as far as the object speed, the skill speed, the part of RK Boost. But nonetheless, these are the three I go with whenever I am fighting him. And we will actually swap the Abyss Enhancement for the Void Resistance, the one that makes your obviously incoming damage minus 16.5% whenever you're below 50%. It's also the first column of the survival row if you ever want to just not worry about the grapple cooldown. But that's the Inversion Reinforcement. And then as far as the second build, I want to go into the second Descendant module build really quickly. This is going to be less safe, but a little bit more damage. We are going to be running instead of the poison immunity mod, we're going to be running skill expansion. Now, a lot of people don't think that you need skill expansion. However, skill expansion actually makes it so that your first ability bounces one more time. So instead of 2 times, it's going to bounce 3 times. And that is going to be very important for the amount of damage we're doing, because it actually increases your damage by like basically 50%. As long as you're close to him as well, it's bouncing way more and doing way more bursts, and it feels really, really good. So yeah, skill expansion is going to help our damage substantially if you're okay with losing that poison immunity. And then we will jump into kind of another change you can make briefly here. So you can remove increased HP if you are ballsy. Shout out to Senevades for this. He is the only one I've seen actually do this, and he's able to do it very consistently. But this is going to be to remove the HP mod here and basically add maximize range. Now, I don't have a socket for this, so I have not done this myself. All the kills in the background are going to be with either the first half of the kills are probably going to be without the poison immunity, and then the second half of the kills are going to be with the poison immunity and with no HP in range. But you can use maximize range, and that will make it so it bounces 4 times, and you'll be doing even more damage. It's absolutely absurd how much damage you can get going with this thing. So yeah, highly recommend you give it a try. But if you have any bad luck with it, you're going to be dying probably quite a bit more often until you get it down and you kind of understand what you can dodge and what you can't. But you can get the kills down to around like 30 seconds if you get lucky. And you can also use, dangerous ambush and stuff like that, change out focus on tech, etc. But these are going to be kind of safer, easier kills. So that is kind of the second set of mods I wanted to talk about. And then to kind of go over what we're doing to make this as efficient as possible. Obviously, guys, there's a few things and a few mechanics you can avoid. So whenever the boss does the breathe animation, he usually kind of sets himself back and then kind of gets in the animation to start it. Once you realize what that animation looks like and how to kind of track it, what you can do is actually grapple straight into the air, and you can avoid that entire animation. And the closer you are while you're spamming your first ability on the boss, you will actually do more damage. So this does help you do that more damage, and it helps you kind of start animations to make it so he's not always shooting you. So yeah, grapple in the air whenever he starts his little animation to breathe a bunch of purple gas all over the floor, and then always bait those melee attacks as much as you can. Baiting the melee attacks, they are so easy to dodge, and again, the closer you are when you're spamming your first ability, the more damage you're going to do. You're going to easily get these kills down from the minute 30 minute. You can even, like I said, get down to like 30 seconds if you're as crazy as Senevades. That guy is cracked. Again, shout out to him. And yeah, the kills are very safe if you're using the anti-venom. However, they start to get less safe as you go, but you can kind of progress yourself, and you can make it so that you're killing him really, honestly, pretty quickly with a little bit of muscle memory and practice. And Inez is definitely the best way to kill him, in my opinion, just because of how she works and how much damage she does. She's absolutely fantastic for bossing. I have not done a lot of bossing with Inez other than Defiler, and I don't really plan to unless something changes. I know that she can absolutely wreck other bosses as well, but this is going to be it for the Defiler setup. And that's pretty much going to be the video, guys. That is it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I know that you can definitely change some stuff up here and get faster kills, but as it stands right now, this is what I'll be doing to farm my vouchers whenever I get back from my vacation on the 1st of February. Follow me over on Twitch. We'll be back then. We're kind of going to be MIA for a couple weeks here, but I will be back at the start of February back on Twitch. I appreciate all the support you guys have given me. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, night. Good luck grinding the first Descendant. Enjoy the Void Erosion and enjoy the Defiler. And I'm out of here, guys. Peace out. Have a good one. Goodbye.